Have you ever watched an 80-year-old Japanese grandmother gracefully rise from sitting on the floor without using her hands while you struggle to get up from a low chair? What if I told you that in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to teach you the exact 6 floor movements that Japanese elders use daily to maintain knee mobility and independence well into their 90s? But first, let me share something that might shock you. There's a simple test that can predict whether you'll maintain your mobility at age 80 with startling accuracy. It's called the sitting-rising test, and it takes just 30 seconds to complete. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to try this with me. Stand up, then sit down on the floor and get back up using as few supports as possible. Give yourself 10 points to start. Subtract 1 point each time you use your hand, knee, forearm, or side of your leg for support. Subtract half a point if you lose your balance. If you scored 8 points or higher, congratulations. You have the mobility profile of someone likely to maintain independence into their 80s. 7 points means you're doing well but have room for improvement. 6 points or below? Don't worry, that's exactly why you're here today, and by the end of this session, you'll have the tools to dramatically improve that score. But here's what's truly remarkable. In Okinawa, Japan, where people regularly live past 100, this test would be considered child's play for most 80-year-olds. They don't just pass it, they excel at it. And it's not because of superior genetics or expensive treatments. It's because of 6 simple floor movements they perform naturally, almost unconsciously, throughout their daily lives. Today, I'm going to reveal these 6 movements to you. But more than that, I'm going to show you how to adapt them for your current fitness level, whether you're dealing with arthritis, recovering from knee surgery, or haven't been on the floor in years. These aren't just exercises. They're a gateway to reclaiming the freedom of movement you thought was lost forever. The secret lies in understanding what Japanese culture has known for centuries. The floor is nature's perfect gym. Every time you sit down on a tatami mat and rise back up, you're performing a complex movement that engages dozens of muscles, lubricates your joints, and maintains the neural pathways essential for balance and coordination. It's what I call invisible training. Movement so integrated into daily life that it doesn't feel like exercise, yet it's more effective than most structured workout programs. In traditional Japanese homes, people sit on tatami mats for meals, tea ceremonies, and family gatherings. They rise and lower themselves dozens of times each day. Their knees remain supple not despite their age, but because of the consistent, gentle loading these movements provide. It's a perfect example of the use it or lose it principle applied with wisdom and consistency. But here's the challenge. Most of us over 60 haven't sat on the floor regularly in decades. Our hip flexors have shortened, our ankle mobility has decreased, and our knees have stiffened from lack of varied movement. The good news? Your body has an incredible capacity for adaptation at any age. Research shows that joint mobility can be restored and even improved well into our 80s and 90s with the right approach. The 6 movements I'm about to teach you work on 4 critical principles that Japanese movement experts have refined over generations. First is lubrication. Gentle, repetitive motions that stimulate synovial fluid production, keeping your knee joints smooth and pain-free. Second is stability. Teaching your muscles to work together to support your knees during complex movements. Third is alignment, ensuring that forces travel through your joints efficiently, reducing wear and tear. And fourth is integration, connecting your ankles, knees, and hips so they work as a coordinated system rather than fighting each other. Before we begin, I need to address safety. These movements are designed to be gentle and progressive, but I want you to use what I call the traffic light system for monitoring your body's response. Green light means no pain, slight muscle awareness is normal, and you can continue with full range of motion. Yellow light means you're experiencing mild discomfort, a 3 out of 10 on the pain scale. This is your signal to reduce the range of motion or add more support. Red light means sharp pain, significant discomfort above 5 out of 10, or any sensation that makes you want to stop immediately. Honor red lights always. If you have a history of knee surgery, joint replacement, or any ongoing medical conditions, please consult with your healthcare provider before beginning any new movement program. What I'm sharing today is educational information, not medical advice, and should complement, not replace, professional medical care. Now, let me introduce you to the equipment you might want to have nearby. Don't worry, you don't need to buy anything expensive. A yoga mat or thick towel for cushioning, a firm pillow or folded blanket for knee support, a stable chair or wall for balance assistance, and possibly a resistance band or towel for some variations. The beauty of these movements is their simplicity and adaptability. Let's start with a brief warm-up that takes just 3 minutes but will prepare your joints for the movements ahead. Begin by sitting comfortably in a chair or on the edge of your bed. Take 5 deep breaths through your nose, allowing your exhale to be longer than your inhale. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and prepares your body for mindful movement. Now, extend one leg in front of you and make slow, deliberate circles with your ankle, 5 in each direction. Switch legs and repeat. These ankle circles aren't just warming up your ankles. They're sending signals up the kinetic chain to prepare your knees and hips for movement. Place your hands on your knees and make small, gentle circles with your kneecaps, just enough to create some warmth and awareness in the joint. If you feel any clicking or grinding, make the circles smaller or just rest your hands on your knees and breathe into the area. Finally, place your hands on your hips and make small pelvic tilts forward and backward, just like you're gently rocking in a rocking chair. This awakens the deep core muscles that will support you during our floor work. Before we move to the floor, let me share a story that illustrates why these movements are so powerful. I once met a remarkable woman named Hanako, who was 89 years old and living in Okinawa. Every morning, she would sit on her tatami mat for tea, then move to the floor for her morning stretches, and throughout the day, she'd lower herself to the floor and rise again countless times for various activities. When I asked her about exercise, she looked confused. She didn't consider what she was doing to be exercise. It was simply living. Yet when I observed her movement quality, I was amazed. Her knees tracked perfectly over her toes during squatting movements. Her hips had remarkable mobility. Her balance was better than most people half her age. She was unknowingly performing therapeutic movements all day long. This is the power of integration, when healthy movement becomes so natural that it's no longer separate from living, but becomes the foundation of how you move through your day. That's what we're working toward with these 6 movements. Now, are you ready to begin? Let's move to our first movement, quadruped rocking. Movement 1 is what I call the Great Knee Lubricator. Quadruped rocking teaches your knees to bear weight safely while moving through their full range of motion. It's like giving your knee joints a gentle rhythmic massage from the inside. Start by getting onto your hands and knees on your mat or carpet. If getting down to the floor feels challenging, you can modify this by placing your hands on a low couch or chair seat and stepping your feet back. The key is finding a position where your wrists are roughly under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. If your knees are sensitive against the floor, place a pillow or folded towel underneath them. There's no shame in using props. In fact, it's intelligent movement. We want to work within your comfort zone, not push through pain. Once you're in position, imagine you're a gentle rocking chair. Begin to slowly shift your weight backward, bringing your hips toward your heels. You don't need to sit all the way back. Go only as far as feels comfortable. The movement should be smooth and controlled, like you're moving through warm honey. As you rock backward, breathe out slowly through your mouth. As you rock forward to the starting position, breathe in through your nose. This breathing pattern helps coordinate your movement and keeps you relaxed. Let's talk about what's happening in your knees during this movement. As you rock backward, you're encouraging knee flexion while the joint is under gentle compression. This combination stimulates the production of synovial fluid, which is nature's lubricant for your joints. Think of it like priming an old pump. The gentle pressure and movement encourages fluid production and circulation. The beauty of this movement is its adaptability. If sitting back feels too intense, simply rock back a few inches and return. If you have knee replacements or significant arthritis, you might only move through a very small range of motion, and that's perfectly fine. The key is consistency and gradual progression, not pushing through discomfort. Common mistakes I see with this movement include collapsing through the lower back as you rock backward, or forcing the movement when your knees are telling you to slow down. Remember, this is a conversation with your body, not a demand. If you feel any pinching, sharp pain, or significant discomfort, reduce the range of motion or try the seated variation I mentioned earlier. Let's perform 8 to 12 slow, rhythmic rocks backward and forward. Count them out loud if it helps you maintain a steady rhythm. 1. Rock back slowly, breathe out. Return forward, breathe in. 2. Back, forward. Find your own comfortable pace. There's no rush here. Notice how your knees feel after completing this series. You might experience a sense of warmth or increased awareness in the joint. This is normal and indicates increased blood flow and joint mobility. Some people describe it as feeling like their knees have been oiled. Movement 2 takes us deeper into the Japanese movement tradition, Seiza with ankle mobility. Seiza is the traditional Japanese way of sitting on your heels, and it's one of the most effective positions for maintaining knee and ankle flexibility. But don't worry, we're going to modify it extensively to make it accessible for everyone. The key insight behind this movement is that your ankles and knees work as a team. When your ankles lack mobility, your knees have to compensate, often leading to pain and dysfunction. By improving ankle flexibility, we automatically reduce stress on the knee joint during activities like walking, climbing stairs, and yes, getting up from the floor. If you can comfortably sit on your heels, wonderful. Place a thick pillow or folded blanket on your calves and sit back gently. If this position is uncomfortable or impossible, don't worry. You can perform this movement sitting on a low stool or the edge of a couch with your feet flat on the floor. The movement itself focuses on ankle mobility. From your chosen position, slowly point your toes away from you, like a ballet dancer pointing her foot. Hold for 3 seconds, then flex your foot, bringing your toes back toward your shin. You should feel a gentle stretch through your calf and the front of your ankle. If you're in the modified Seiza position sitting on your heels, you can add a gentle forward lean as you point your toes, which increases the stretch through the top of your foot and front of your ankle. This combination of movements addresses both plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, the technical terms for pointing and flexing your foot. Why is this so important for knee health? When you walk or climb stairs, your ankle needs to dorsiflex. Bring your toes toward your shin to allow your body weight to move smoothly over your foot. If your ankle can't do this effectively, your knee joint has to twist and compensate, leading to wear and tear over time. Many people over 60 have developed limitations in ankle mobility without realizing it. Years of wearing shoes with elevated heels, sitting for long periods, or avoiding activities that require ankle flexibility can lead to gradual stiffening. The good news is that ankle mobility responds quickly to gentle, consistent stretching. Perform this ankle mobility sequence 10 times in each direction, focusing on smooth, controlled movements rather than speed. If you experience any tingling in your feet or lower legs while in the Seiza position, come out of it immediately and try the seated modification instead. Let me share another story from my time in Japan. I visited a traditional tea ceremony where participants, ranging in age from 30 to 85, all sat in Seiza position for over an hour. What struck me wasn't just their ability to maintain the position, but how gracefully they transitioned in and out of it. Their movements were flowing and effortless, a stark contrast to the stiff, awkward movements many of us experience when getting up from low positions. The 85-year-old tea master, when asked about joint pain, seemed genuinely puzzled by the question. Her daily practice of moving into and out of Seiza had maintained her joint mobility so effectively that stiffness wasn't part of her experience of aging. This is the power of integrating therapeutic movement into daily activities. Movement 3 introduces us to the half-kneeling progression, which bridges the gap between floor movements and standing activities. This movement is crucial because it teaches your knees to handle the transition forces that occur when you're getting up from the floor or low positions. Start by getting into a half-kneeling position, one knee on the ground, one foot planted in front of you. Think of it as a deep lunge position, but you're starting from a place of stability rather than moving into it. If getting into this position is challenging, use a chair or wall for support. Place your hand on a chair seat or stable surface next to you. This isn't cheating, it's intelligent progression. As you get stronger and more confident, you can gradually reduce your reliance on the support. The movement itself is a gentle lifting and lowering. From the half-kneeling position, engage your glutes and gently lift your hips up a few inches, then lower back down with control. Think of it as a mini squat from a half-kneeling position. This movement is brilliant for knee health because it teaches proper tracking, the way your knee moves in relation to your foot. As you lift and lower, focus on keeping your front knee aligned over your second toe. This is the optimal tracking pattern that reduces stress on the knee joint. Many people, especially those with a history of knee problems, have developed compensatory movement patterns. Their knees might cave inward or bow outward during movement, creating uneven wear on the joint surfaces. This movement helps retrain proper alignment in a stable, controlled environment. Start with small movements, lifting your hips just 2 or 3 inches. As you get comfortable with the movement pattern, you can gradually increase the range of motion. The key is maintaining control throughout the entire movement. If you find yourself using momentum or losing your balance, reduce the range of motion. Breathe naturally throughout this movement, avoiding the tendency to hold your breath during effort. Holding your breath increases internal pressure and can make you feel unstable. Instead, exhale gently as you lift. Inhale as you lower. Perform 6 to 8 repetitions on each leg, focusing on quality over quantity. Notice how your standing leg feels after completing the repetitions. You might experience increased awareness or warmth in the glute and thigh muscles. This indicates that you're effectively engaging the muscles that support knee function. The half-kneeling progression also provides valuable feedback about any imbalances between your right and left sides. It's common for one side to feel stronger or more stable than the other. Don't try to force symmetry, but do take note of differences. Over time, with consistent practice, these imbalances often naturally resolve. Let me pause here to address something I see frequently when working with people over 60. The fear of being on the floor. Many people have avoided floor-based activities for years because they're worried about getting stuck down there or experiencing pain. This fear is understandable, but it creates a vicious cycle. The less we practice floor movements, the more challenging they become, which reinforces our avoidance. These movements are specifically designed to break that cycle. We're building your confidence and capacity gradually, always within your comfort zone. Each movement prepares you for the next, creating a logical progression that respects your current abilities while gently expanding them. Movement 4 takes us into rotational mobility with the Shin box, also known as the 90-90 stretch. This movement addresses one of the most common limitations I see in people over 60, restricted hip rotation. When your hips can't rotate properly, your knees often have to compensate by twisting, which can lead to pain and dysfunction. The Shin box position involves sitting on the floor with both legs bent at 90 degrees. One leg in front of you, one leg to the side. It looks more complex than it is, and we'll modify it extensively to make it accessible. Start by sitting on a firm pillow or yoga block. This elevation reduces the hip mobility requirements and makes the position much more comfortable. If sitting on the floor is not possible, you can perform a modified version sitting in a chair. From your elevated sitting position, arrange your legs so that your right leg is in front of you with the knee bent at about 90 degrees, and your left leg is out to your side also bent at 90 degrees. Your legs should form the shape of the number 7. Don't worry if your knees don't touch the floor. This is completely normal and expected. The goal isn't to force your knees down, but to allow gravity and time to gradually increase your hip mobility. The movement portion involves gentle transitions from side to side. Using your hands for support, slowly rotate your torso toward your front leg, then center, then toward your side leg. These rotations encourage movement in your hip joints while maintaining stability in your knees. If the traditional shin box position is too challenging, try this chair modification. Sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, creating a figure 4 shape with your legs. Gently lean forward until you feel a mild stretch in your right hip. Hold for 30 seconds, then switch sides. The beauty of rotational movements like the shin box is that they address movement patterns we rarely use in daily life. Most of our activities happen in straight lines, walking forward, climbing stairs, sitting and standing. But your hip joints are designed for multi-directional movement, and when we don't use this full range regularly, we lose it. Hip rotation is particularly important for knee health because it affects the entire leg alignment. When your hips can rotate freely, your femur, thigh bone, can position itself optimally in relation to your tibia, shin bone, reducing stress on the knee joint surfaces. Research has shown that people with limited hip mobility are more likely to develop knee pain and dysfunction. By addressing hip mobility, we often see improvements in knee symptoms without directly working on the knee itself. This is a perfect example of how the body works as an integrated system rather than a collection of separate parts. Hold each position in the shin box for 30 to 60 seconds, breathing deeply and allowing your muscles to relax. Don't try to force greater range of motion by pushing or bouncing. Instead, use your breath to encourage relaxation. Each exhale is an opportunity to settle a little deeper into the stretch. If you experience any pinching or sharp pain in your hips or knees during this movement, come out of the position immediately. Some muscle stretching sensation is normal, but joint pain is not. Always err on the side of caution. Movement 5 introduces us to the deep assisted squat, which is perhaps the most functional of all our movements. The ability to squat deeply is fundamental to many daily activities, from gardening to picking up objects from the floor. It's also one of the positions that becomes most challenging as we age. In traditional cultures around the world, including Japan, deep squatting remains a common resting position throughout life. Children squat naturally, and in cultures where this position is maintained, adults continue squatting comfortably into old age. In Western cultures, we often lose this ability by our 30s due to lifestyle factors like prolonged sitting and wearing shoes with elevated heels. The key to relearning the deep squat is assistance and progression. We're not trying to achieve a perfect deep squat today. We're beginning a journey back to this fundamental human position. Start by standing in front of a sturdy door with the door open. Hold on to the doorknob or door frame with both hands. With your feet about hip-width apart and toes slightly turned out, slowly begin to lower yourself into a squatting position, using your arms for support. Go only as deep as feels comfortable. For some people, this might be just a few inches. For others, you might be able to descend quite far. There's no right or wrong. There's only your current range of motion, which will work to gradually expand. The most important aspect of this movement is keeping your heels on the ground. If your heels want to lift as you squat down, place a rolled towel or thin book under them for support. This modification allows you to experience the squatting position without forcing your ankle mobility. Once you've reached your comfortable depth, hold the position for 20 to 40 seconds, breathing normally. This isn't a static stretch. It's a dynamic position where you're actively engaging muscles while allowing others to lengthen. Focus on your breath while in the squat. Many people hold their breath in challenging positions, which increases muscle tension and makes the position more difficult. Instead, breathe slowly and deeply, imagining that each exhale helps you settle slightly deeper into the position. To come out of the squat, use your arms to assist you back to standing. Don't try to bounce or jump out of the position, as this can create sudden stress on your joints. The transition out should be as controlled as the transition in. The deep squat is incredibly beneficial for knee health because it promotes full range of motion in all three leg joints: ankle, knee, and hip. It also encourages the production of synovial fluid and helps maintain the flexibility of all the soft tissues around the knee. If holding onto a doorknob feels awkward or unstable, you can use a resistance band or towel tied to a door handle at about chest height. This gives you a comfortable grip and allows you to adjust the assistance level as needed. For those with significant knee limitations, try this modification. Place a low stool or stack of books behind you as a safety net. This allows you to squat down, knowing that you won't go below a certain level, which can help reduce anxiety about the movement. Some people find that their knees make clicking or popping sounds during squatting movements. If these sounds are not accompanied by pain, they're generally harmless and often indicate that joints are moving through ranges they haven't experienced in a while. However, if you experience pain with these sounds, reduce the depth of your squat or consult with a healthcare provider. The assisted deep squat is also an excellent diagnostic tool. Notice which areas feel tight or restricted. Is it your ankles that prevent you from keeping your heels down? Your hips that don't want to hinge backward? Your knees that feel stiff in deep flexion? This information helps you understand which areas need additional attention. Now we come to movement 6, the culmination of our practice, the sitting-rising test progression. This is where all the previous movements come together in a functional, real-world application. The ability to get up from the floor with minimal assistance is one of the strongest predictors of continued independence as we age. But here's what's important to understand. We're not trying to perfect this movement today. We're beginning a journey of gradual improvement that can continue for months or years. Each small improvement in your ability to rise from the floor represents a significant gain in functional capacity. Let's start by establishing your baseline. From a standing position, slowly and safely lower yourself to sitting on the floor. Use whatever support you need: your hands, a chair, the wall. There's no shame in using assistance. The goal is to get to the floor safely. Once you're sitting, try to stand up using as little support as possible. Start by trying to stand without using your hands. If that's not possible, use one hand on the floor or a chair for support. If you need two hands, that's perfectly fine too. Pay attention to the strategies your body naturally uses. Do you roll to one side and come up? Do you get to your knees first? Do you need to use your hands on your thighs to push yourself up? All of these strategies are valid, and understanding your current pattern helps us know where to focus our improvement efforts. Let's work on some progressions that can help improve your floor-to-standing ability. One effective strategy is the cross-legged progression. From sitting, cross your legs in a comfortable position. Place your hands on the floor beside your hips and try to shift your weight forward over your feet. You might not be able to stand up this way initially, but the practice of shifting weight forward teaches the movement pattern. Another useful progression is what I call the spiral up technique. From sitting, roll slightly to one side and bring one knee up so your foot is flat on the floor. This creates a half-kneeling position that's often easier to rise from than straight sitting. Practice moving from sitting to half-kneeling and back several times before attempting to stand. The key to improving your sitting-rising ability is consistent practice with patience. Many people expect dramatic improvements quickly, but this movement pattern requires strength, flexibility, balance, and coordination. It's more like learning to play a musical instrument than simply getting stronger. Practice the transition from floor to standing 3 to 5 times, focusing on smooth, controlled movements rather than speed or efficiency. Each repetition is an opportunity to refine your technique and build confidence. Safety considerations for this movement are crucial. Always practice near a sturdy chair or wall that you can use for emergency support. If you experience any dizziness when standing up, rise more slowly and ensure you're well hydrated. Some medications can cause blood pressure changes with position changes, so be mindful of how you feel. If you have a history of falls or significant balance issues, consider practicing this movement with a family member or friend nearby for additional safety. There's no shame in being cautious. Intelligent. Progression means respecting your current limitations while working to expand them. Let me tell you about one of the most inspiring transformations I've witnessed. Margaret was 73 when she first attempted the sitting rising test and needed both hands and a chair to get up from the floor. She had avoided being on the floor for over a decade because she was afraid of getting stuck down there. We started with the 6 movements I've just taught you, practicing them consistently for 15 minutes each day. After 3 months, she could rise from the floor using just one hand for support. After 6 months, she achieved her goal of rising without any hand support. But more importantly, she had regained the confidence to play with her grandchildren on the floor, something she thought she'd never do again. Margaret's story illustrates an important principle. Small, consistent efforts compound over time into remarkable improvements. The movements we've practiced today might seem simple, but their cumulative effect on your mobility and confidence can be transformative. Now that we've completed all 6 movements, let's talk about how to integrate them into your daily routine. The beauty of these exercises is that they don't require a gym membership or expensive equipment. They can be done in your living room, bedroom, or any space with enough room to lie down. I recommend practicing these movements 5 to 6 times per week for 10 to 15 minutes each session. This might seem like a lot, but remember that we're replacing decades of movement avoidance with purposeful, therapeutic activity. Consistency is far more important than duration. Better to do 5 minutes every day than 30 minutes once a week. Here's a suggested weekly routine. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday perform all 6 movements in sequence, spending about 2 minutes on each movement. Tuesday and Thursday, choose 3 movements that felt most challenging and focus on those. Saturday, take a longer session to work on your sitting-rising progression specifically. Sunday can be your rest day, or you can do a gentle movement flow focusing on the movements that feel best to you. As you progress, you can gradually increase the challenge of each movement. For the quadruped rocking, you might increase the range of motion or number of repetitions. For the Seiza ankle mobility, you might hold the positions longer or add gentle resistance. The half-kneeling progression might evolve into standing up from half-kneeling without hand support. The Shin box can progress by gradually reducing the height of your sitting support or increasing the time spent in each position. The assisted deep squat can progress by reducing hand support or increasing hold time. And the sitting rising test can progress by reducing the number of supports used or improving the smoothness of the movement. But remember, progression isn't always linear. Some days will feel easier than others, and that's completely normal. Factors like sleep quality, stress levels, weather changes, and general health can all affect how your joints feel on any given day. The key is consistency over perfection. Let's address some common concerns and modifications for specific conditions. If you have knee replacement surgery in your history, these movements can still be beneficial, but you'll want to avoid forced end-range positions. Focus on gentle, pain-free movement and consult with your surgeon or physical therapist about any restrictions specific to your situation. For those with arthritis, these movements can be particularly helpful during non-flare periods. The gentle movement helps maintain joint mobility and can reduce stiffness. However, during acute flare-ups, you might need to reduce the range of motion or take a temporary break from floor-based movements. If you have hip replacements, certain positions might be contraindicated depending on your surgical approach. The Shin box position in particular might need to be avoided or significantly modified. Always consult with your surgeon about movement restrictions and when it's safe to progress. For people with balance concerns, all of these movements can be modified to include additional support. Use walls, chairs, and other stable surfaces liberally. Your safety is always the top priority, and using support doesn't diminish the value of the movements. Blood pressure considerations are important, especially for the movements that involve position changes. If you have low blood pressure or take medications that affect blood pressure, Rise slowly from floor positions and pause if you feel dizzy or lightheaded. Now, let's talk about the broader implications of maintaining floor mobility as we age. The ability to comfortably get down to and up from the floor opens up a world of activities that many people over 60 abandon unnecessarily. Gardening becomes possible again. Playing with grandchildren on their level becomes comfortable. Home maintenance tasks that require getting low become manageable. But beyond the practical benefits, there's something psychologically powerful about maintaining this fundamental human movement capacity. Fear of falling and fear of being unable to get up create a cycle of movement avoidance that accelerates physical decline. By systematically building confidence and capacity in floor movements, we break this cycle and restore a sense of physical autonomy. The research supports this approach. Studies have shown that the sitting-rising test is a better predictor of all-cause mortality in older adults than many traditional health markers. This isn't because the test itself is magical, but because it reflects a complex integration of strength, flexibility, balance, and neuromuscular coordination that indicates overall physical resilience. Japanese movement culture embodies a principle called kaizen, continuous small improvements. Rather than dramatic changes that are difficult to sustain, kaizen emphasizes gradual, consistent progress. This philosophy is perfect for movement rehabilitation and maintenance as we age. Apply kaizen to your practice with these movements. Don't try to master them all immediately. Instead, aim for just 1% improvement each day. One extra repetition, holding a position for 5 more seconds, or using slightly less support during the sitting-rising test. These tiny improvements compound over time into significant functional gains. Track your progress in a simple journal or notebook. Record which movements you practiced, how they felt, and any improvements you notice. This documentation serves 2 purposes. It helps you see progress that might otherwise go unnoticed, and it provides valuable information about which movements are most beneficial for your particular needs. Include subjective measures in your tracking. How confident do you feel about getting on the floor? How is your energy level after practicing these movements? Are you sleeping better? Sometimes the most important improvements aren't easily quantified but represent meaningful changes in your quality of life. Let me share some troubleshooting tips for common challenges. If you experience excessive soreness after practicing these movements, you might be pushing too hard too soon. Reduce the intensity, duration, or frequency until your body adapts, then gradually progress again. If you feel frustrated by slow progress, remember that you're reversing decades of movement patterns and potentially addressing long-standing restrictions. Patience and consistency will yield results, but they might take longer than you initially expect. If certain movements consistently cause discomfort, don't ignore this feedback. Consider working with a physical therapist or movement professional who can assess your individual needs and provide personalized modifications. Some people worry about looking awkward or clumsy while learning these movements. Remember that movement learning is a process, and everyone looks a bit uncoordinated when acquiring new skills. Focus on the internal experience of the movement rather than how it might appear to others. Environmental factors can significantly impact your practice. Room temperature affects joint mobility. Cooler rooms often require longer warm-ups. Floor surfaces matter too. Carpet provides cushioning but can make balance more challenging, while harder surfaces provide stability but might require additional padding for comfort. Time of day can also influence how your joints feel. Many people find their joints are stiffest in the morning and more mobile later in the day. Experiment with different practice times to find when these movements feel best for you. As you progress with these movements, you might notice improvements in other areas of your physical function. Many people report better sleep, improved digestion, and enhanced mood after establishing a consistent movement practice. These secondary benefits reflect the interconnected nature of physical and mental health. The social aspects of movement shouldn't be overlooked either. Consider sharing these movements with friends, family members, or joining a group focused on healthy aging. Social support and accountability can significantly improve adherence to movement programs. If you have a partner or family member interested in joint health, practicing these movements together can be both motivating and fun. You can support each other's progress, share modifications that work well, and celebrate improvements together. For those who enjoy technology, there are apps and devices that can help track flexibility, balance, and movement quality over time. While not necessary, these tools can provide additional motivation and objective feedback about your progress. The relationship between these floor movements and other forms of exercise is synergistic rather than competitive. If you enjoy walking, swimming, or other activities, these movements can enhance your performance in those areas by improving joint mobility and movement quality. Conversely, other forms of exercise can support your progress with these movements. Strength training can provide the muscular support needed for more challenging positions. Cardiovascular exercise improves the endurance needed for longer practice sessions. Let's address the elephant in the room: aging and movement expectations. Society often sends subtle and not-so-subtle messages about what's appropriate movement for older adults. There's an expectation that we should naturally become less mobile, less adventurous, and more careful as we age. While prudent caution is wise, unnecessarily limiting our movement experiences based on age alone becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The human body is remarkably adaptable throughout life, and while we might not move exactly as we did at 20, we can maintain far more capacity than commonly believed. These 6 movements challenge ageist assumptions about physical capacity. They demonstrate that complex, challenging movements can be practiced safely and effectively throughout life with appropriate modifications and progressions. Consider the broader implications of maintaining movement capacity: independence in daily activities, confidence in varied environments, and the ability to engage fully in life experiences all depend on our physical capabilities. By investing in movement quality now, we're investing in our future autonomy and life satisfaction. The time investment required for these movements is minimal compared to their potential impact. 15 minutes a day represents about 1% of your waking hours. Yet this small investment can yield dramatic returns in terms of mobility, confidence, and functional independence. Let's explore the neurological aspects of these movements, which are often overlooked but equally important as the physical benefits. Every time you practice getting down to the floor and back up, you're not just working your muscles and joints, you're training your nervous system to coordinate complex movement patterns. Your brain contains specialized areas responsible for balance, spatial awareness, and movement planning. Like muscles, these neural pathways become more efficient with practice and can deteriorate with disuse. The varied positions and transitions in our 6 movements provide rich sensory input that keeps these systems sharp and responsive. The proprioceptive benefits alone, your body's ability to sense its position in space, are invaluable. Many falls in older adults occur not because of weakness, but because of delayed or inaccurate proprioceptive feedback. Regular floor work enhances this internal GPS system, improving reaction time and movement quality in all activities. Visual and vestibular systems also benefit from these movements. Changing positions from standing to floor level and back challenges your visual system to adapt to different perspectives and distances. The vestibular system in your inner ear, responsible for balance and spatial orientation, gets valuable practice managing position changes and maintaining equilibrium. Now, let me address something crucial that many people overlook: the psychological barriers to floor movement. For many adults over 60, the floor represents vulnerability. Getting down there means potentially getting stuck, looking undignified, or experiencing pain. These psychological barriers can be as limiting as physical restrictions. Overcoming these barriers requires a gradual approach that builds both physical capacity and psychological confidence simultaneously. Start with the movements that feel most comfortable and accessible. As your confidence grows with the easier movements, you'll naturally feel more willing to challenge yourself with the more difficult ones. The fear of falling while transitioning to and from the floor is particularly common. This fear often leads to tense, rushed movements that actually increase fall risk. Practice these transitions slowly and deliberately, always with appropriate support nearby. Remember, the goal is smooth, controlled movement, not speed or athletic performance. Some people worry about what others might think if they saw them doing floor exercises. This concern, while understandable, shouldn't prevent you from pursuing better health and mobility. Consider that most people are impressed by older adults who are actively working to maintain their physical capacity. You're setting an inspiring example, not an embarrassing one. The cultural context of floor sitting varies significantly around the world, and understanding this can help normalize these positions. In many cultures, floor sitting is the default throughout life. In Japan, Korea, parts of India, and many Middle Eastern countries, adults regularly sit, eat, work, and relax on the floor. Their joint health and mobility often reflect this cultural practice. In Western cultures, we've largely moved away from floor-based living, often to the detriment of our joint health. By reintroducing these positions gradually and safely, we're reclaiming a fundamental aspect of human movement that our bodies are designed for. Let's discuss breathing techniques that can enhance your practice of these movements. Proper breathing not only provides oxygen to working muscles, but also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and reducing muscle tension. During static positions like the Shin box or assisted deep squat, practice diaphragmatic breathing. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Focus on expanding your belly as you inhale, keeping your chest relatively still. This type of breathing is more efficient and promotes relaxation. For dynamic movements like the quadruped rocking or half-kneeling progression, coordinate your breath with the movement. Generally, exhale during the effort phase and inhale during the relaxation phase. This pattern helps stabilize your core and coordinate your movement. Never hold your breath during these movements even if they feel challenging. Breath holding increases internal pressure, reduces oxygen delivery to muscles, and can make you feel unstable or dizzy. If you find yourself holding your breath, slow down the movement and focus on maintaining steady breathing. The integration of mindfulness with movement can significantly enhance the benefits of these exercises. Instead of simply going through the motions, pay attention to the sensations in your body. Notice areas of tension or ease. Observe how your balance responds to different positions. This mindful approach transforms exercise into a form of moving meditation. Mindful movement also helps you develop better body awareness, which is crucial for injury prevention. You'll become more sensitive to your body's signals, knowing when to push a little harder and when to back off. This internal feedback system is far more reliable than any external guideline. The seasonal considerations for practicing these movements are worth noting. Joint stiffness often increases in colder weather, so you might need longer warm-ups during winter months. Conversely, hot weather can make you more flexible but also more prone to dehydration, which affects joint lubrication. Spring and fall often provide optimal conditions for establishing new movement habits. The moderate temperatures and changing seasons can provide psychological motivation for making positive changes. Use these natural cycles to your advantage when establishing your practice routine. Let's address pain versus discomfort, a distinction that's crucial for safe practice. Muscle stretching sensations and mild fatigue are normal and expected. Sharp, shooting, or severe pain is not normal and should be respected immediately. When in doubt, err on the side of caution and reduce the intensity or seek professional guidance. Some people experience delayed onset muscle soreness 24 to 48 hours after beginning these movements. This is generally normal and indicates that you've challenged muscles that haven't been used regularly. However, joint pain or swelling is not normal and might indicate that you've progressed too aggressively. The concept of good pain versus bad pain is often mentioned in movement contexts, but I prefer to think in terms of sensation versus pain. Therapeutic sensations. muscle stretching, increased circulation, mild fatigue are positive signs. Pain, sharp, stabbing, or severe discomfort is your body's warning system and should be heeded. Hydration plays a more significant role in joint health than many people realize. Synovial fluid, which lubricates your joints, is primarily composed of water. Chronic dehydration can lead to decreased joint lubrication and increased stiffness. Ensure adequate water intake, especially on days when you're practicing these movements. Nutrition also supports joint health. Anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, fatty fish, berries, and nuts can help reduce inflammation that contributes to joint stiffness and pain. While these movements are mechanical interventions, supporting them with appropriate nutrition enhances their effectiveness. Sleep quality significantly impacts joint health and movement capacity. During deep sleep, your body produces growth hormone, which supports tissue repair and regeneration. Poor sleep can increase inflammation and reduce your tolerance for movement challenges. If you're not sleeping well, these movements might feel more difficult than they should. The timing of your movement practice can affect your sleep quality as well. Some people find that gentle movement in the evening helps them relax and sleep better. Others prefer morning practice to prepare their joints for the day ahead. Experiment with different timing to find what works best for your schedule and body rhythms. Let's explore progressions for each movement that can keep you challenged and progressing for months or years to come. The quadruped rocking can progress to sitting back fully on your heels, or even transitioning from the rocked back position to sitting and back to quadruped. Advanced practitioners might perform the movement with arms elevated on blocks to increase the range of motion. The Seiza ankle mobility can progress to longer holds, deeper ranges of motion, or adding resistance with a band around your forefoot. Some people eventually work toward full Seiza sitting for extended periods, though this isn't necessary for everyone. The half-kneeling progression can evolve into standing up from half-kneeling without hand support, or adding dynamic movements like reaching or rotating while in the half-kneeling position. Advanced versions might include resistance bands or weights. The Shin box can progress by lowering your sitting surface gradually until you can perform it on the floor, or by adding active transitions between sides. Some people work toward the 90-90 flow, where you smoothly transition from one side to the other in a flowing pattern. The assisted deep squat can progress by reducing hand support, increasing hold time, or adding gentle movements like ankle circles or torso rotations while in the bottom position. The ultimate goal for many is a full deep squat hold without assistance. The sitting rising test has clear numerical progressions based on reducing the number of supports used. But qualitative improvements in smoothness, confidence, and ease of movement are equally valuable. Recovery and rest are integral parts of any movement program. Your joints and muscles need time to adapt to new demands, and this adaptation happens during rest periods, not during the exercises themselves. Plan rest days into your routine, and don't feel guilty about taking breaks when your body needs them. Active recovery can be as simple as gentle walking, light stretching, or even just mindful breathing. The goal is to keep your body moving without adding significant stress to the systems you're trying to improve. The social and emotional benefits of maintaining floor mobility extend beyond the physical realm. Many grandparents report that their improved floor mobility has enhanced their relationships with grandchildren, allowing them to play and interact at the children's level. This type of meaningful engagement has profound psychological benefits. The confidence that comes from mastering challenging movements often transfers to other areas of life. People frequently report feeling more willing to try new activities, travel to new places, or engage in social situations after improving their physical capabilities. Let me share another transformative story. Robert was 68 and had avoided floor-based activities for over 15 years due to knee arthritis and fear of falling. His avoidance had created a cycle where his joints became progressively stiffer, making floor access even more challenging. We started with just the quadruped rocking and Seiza modifications, practicing for 5 minutes every other day. Within a month, he noticed less morning stiffness in his knees. After 3 months, he could perform all 6 movements comfortably. The breakthrough came at 6 months when he successfully played a floor-based board game with his young grandson for the first time in years. Robert's transformation wasn't just physical. His newfound confidence in his body's capabilities led him to become more active overall. He started hiking again, took up Tai Chi, and became an advocate for healthy aging in his community. This ripple effect of improved physical capacity enhancing overall life. Engagement is common among people who commit to movement. Practices, the economic implications of maintaining mobility are significant but often overlooked. The ability to perform activities of daily living independently can delay or prevent the need for assisted living arrangements. Home modifications for accessibility are expensive, and many can be avoided with maintained physical capacity. Healthcare costs also tend to be lower for people who maintain better physical function as they age. While these movements aren't a guarantee against all age-related health issues, they contribute to overall resilience and can reduce the severity of age-related physical decline. Technology can support your practice in various ways. Video calling with family members who are also working on these movements can provide social support and accountability. Fitness apps can send reminders and track your practice consistency. Online communities focused on healthy aging can provide encouragement and tips. However, technology should supplement, not replace the fundamental practice of mindful movement. The most sophisticated app can't replace the wisdom of listening to your body and responding to its feedback appropriately. The seasonal nature of motivation is something to plan for rather than fight against. Many people find their motivation for new habits highest in January and again in September. Use these natural motivation cycles to establish or recommit to your practice. During lower motivation periods, focus on maintaining rather than progressing. Even 5 minutes of gentle movement is infinitely better than complete inactivity. The key is maintaining the habit even when enthusiasm wanes. Environmental setup can significantly impact your consistency with these movements. Designate a specific space in your home for floor work, even if it's just a corner of a room. Having your mat or towel readily available removes barriers to practice. Some people find that practicing at the same time each day helps establish the habit more quickly. Others prefer flexibility in timing, but consistency in sequence. Experiment with different approaches to find what supports your long-term adherence. The relationship between these movements and other aspects of healthy aging is synergistic. Good nutrition supports joint health and energy for movement. Adequate sleep enhances recovery and motivation. Social connections provide accountability and encouragement. Think of these movements as one component of a comprehensive approach to aging well. Mental health considerations are important as well. Depression and anxiety can significantly impact motivation for physical activity, while regular movement has proven benefits for mental health. If you are struggling with mental health issues, these gentle movements can be part of your therapeutic approach, though they shouldn't replace professional mental health care when needed. The concept of movement snacks can make these exercises more accessible for people with busy schedules or limited energy. Instead of trying to complete all 6 movements in one session, consider doing 1 or 2 movements at various times throughout the day. A few minutes of quadruped rocking after sitting at a computer, ankle mobility while watching television, or a brief squat hold while waiting for coffee to brew. These movement snacks can be particularly effective for joint health because they provide regular mobility breaks throughout the day rather than one concentrated session. They also make the practice feel less daunting and more integrated into daily life. The progressive nature of these exercises means that your relationship with them will evolve over time. Movements that initially feel challenging will become comfortable, allowing you to appreciate more subtle aspects of the positions. This deepening relationship with movement can become a source of ongoing learning and growth. Some people develop a almost meditative relationship with these practices, finding that the quiet focus required creates a sense of calm and presence that extends beyond the movement session itself. This mindful approach to movement can become a valuable stress management tool. The biomechanical efficiency gained from these movements often improves performance in other activities. People report that walking feels easier, climbing stairs requires less effort, and other daily activities feel more natural after establishing consistent practice with these floor movements. This improved efficiency occurs because the movements address fundamental movement patterns and joint mobility restrictions that affect all movement. By improving the foundation, everything built on top of it functions better. The importance of consistency cannot be overstated, but it's equally important to understand that consistency doesn't mean perfection. Missing a day or even a week doesn't negate previous progress or prevent future improvement. Life happens, and the ability to restart after interruptions is more valuable than never missing a session. Develop a restart protocol for those times when life interferes with your routine. Perhaps it's a shorter version of your normal routine, or focusing on just the movements that feel best when you're getting back into practice. Having a plan for restarting makes it easier to get back on track. The integration of these movements with other health practices can enhance their effectiveness. Some people combine them with meditation or prayer, creating a holistic practice that addresses physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Others integrate them with breathing exercises or gentle music. The key is finding combinations that feel natural and sustainable for you. Forced integration rarely works long-term, but organic combinations that arise naturally from your interests and preferences often enhance both practices. Understanding the difference between mobility and flexibility is important for interpreting your progress. Flexibility refers to passive range of motion, how far a joint can move when external force is applied. Mobility includes flexibility plus strength and control through that range of motion. These movements work on mobility rather than just flexibility, which is why they're more functional than simple stretching. You're not just gaining range of motion, you're gaining usable, controlled movement that translates directly to real-world activities. The concept of movement quality versus movement quantity applies throughout your practice. It's better to perform fewer repetitions with good form and attention than many repetitions with poor form or while distracted. Quality movement patterns reinforce good habits, while poor quality movement can reinforce dysfunction. Pay attention to how each movement feels rather than just completing a prescribed number of repetitions. Some days you might feel like doing more. Other days, less might be appropriate. Learning to listen to and respond to your body's daily variations is a valuable skill that extends beyond exercise. The role of visualization in movement learning is often underestimated. Before performing a challenging movement, spend a moment visualizing yourself completing it smoothly and successfully. This mental rehearsal activates similar neural pathways to actual movement and can improve performance. Visualization can also help with confidence building. If you're nervous about attempting the sitting-rising test, spend time visualizing yourself successfully completing it before you try. This mental practice can reduce anxiety and improve actual performance. The importance of celebrating progress, no matter how small, cannot be overstated. In our achievement-oriented culture, we often focus on what we haven't accomplished rather than recognizing how far we've come. Keep a record of your improvements and acknowledge them regularly. Progress celebrations don't need to be elaborate. Simply acknowledging to yourself or a family member that you held the deep squat for 5 seconds longer than last month is a valid celebration. These acknowledgments reinforce positive behavior and maintain motivation over time. The community aspect of movement can be incredibly motivating. Consider sharing your journey with friends, joining online groups focused on healthy aging, or even starting a small group in your community. Social support significantly improves adherence to health behaviors and makes the journey more enjoyable. If formal groups aren't appealing, even informal sharing with family members can provide valuable support. Teaching these movements to adult children or grandchildren creates accountability and might inspire them to prioritize their own movement health The concept of movement as medicine is gaining recognition in healthcare circles. These floor movements can be thought of as a prescription for joint health, with specific dosages, frequency, duration, intensity that should be followed consistently for maximum benefit. Like any medicine, the dosage might need adjustment based on your response. If you experience excessive soreness, reduce the frequency or intensity. If you're not seeing improvements after several weeks of consistent practice, you might need to increase the challenge or seek professional guidance. The long-term vision for your movement practice should extend beyond just maintaining current capacity to actually improving it. Many people over 60 can become more mobile and functional than they were in their 50s if they approach movement systematically and consistently. This improvement isn't about turning back the clock or denying aging, but about optimizing function within the reality of your current life stage. Every improvement in mobility and function enhances your ability to engage fully with life's opportunities and challenges. The ripple effects of improved physical capacity often extend into unexpected areas of life. People report increased confidence in travel, greater willingness to try new activities, improved sleep quality, better mood, and enhanced relationships. Physical capacity provides a foundation for psychological resilience and life engagement. As we conclude this comprehensive exploration of Japanese-inspired floor movements for knee health and mobility, remember that you're embarking on a journey rather than completing a destination. These movements offer a pathway to maintained and improved function, but the journey requires patience, consistency, and self-compassion. Your body has incredible wisdom and adaptability at any age. By providing it with appropriate challenges and consistent practice, you're supporting its natural tendency toward health and function. Trust the process, listen to your body, and celebrate every step forward on this journey toward maintained independence and vitality. The 6 movements we've explored today: quadruped rocking, Seiza with ankle mobility, half-kneeling progression, Shin box, assisted deep squat, and sitting-rising test progression, represent centuries of accumulated wisdom about human movement and aging. By practicing them consistently and mindfully, you're connecting with this wisdom and applying it to your own life. Remember that every time you lower yourself to the floor and rise back up, you're making a statement about your commitment to maintaining your physical autonomy. You're refusing to accept unnecessary limitations and choosing to invest in your future mobility and independence. The path forward is clear. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Begin with the movements that feel most accessible. Practice them consistently, and gradually progress as your body adapts and strengthens. Your future self will thank you for the investment you make in movement today. Your journey toward maintained mobility and knee health starts now. Every small step you take, every gentle movement you practice, every moment you spend connecting mindfully with your body's capabilities contributes to a future filled with greater freedom, confidence, and joy in movement. The floor is calling. Are you ready to answer?